take no accountability. I think what happens, especially in a place like Twitter, where you get loads of like-minded people telling you that you've done nothing wrong and it's all like the court system's fault, it's all like the school's fault, you just go further and further down that rabbit hole. Not on the same subject, but I think J.K. Rowling has self-radicalized herself on Twitter as well. And I think Twitter is just like a really toxic platform for both these things, for creating your own echo chamber, but for also being a place where you can quickly mobilize hate. So if you have this echo chamber and every so often it's penetrated by like some sort of, you know, outrage mob or something against you, you fall back into your echo chamber even more as like some sort of defensive mechanism, and it feels like they go further and further down this rabbit hole. So if you go on Lawrence Fox's page, he's just retweeting loads of right-wing garbage and tweeting loads of stuff like most English people wouldn't even understand because it's like so American. Only 5 days till Nazi month, talking about pride, obviously burning a pride flag. That was on his actual birthday, by the way. How sad he is. And all of these kind of divorced dad conservatives, their tweets just blend together. Now, I don't want to focus on this guy too much, but Cat Turd is another like infamous Twitter user, like massive Donald Trump fan, used to be a big Elon Musk simp as well. And he's another divorced dad as well. And if you go on his Twitter, it's just like, you know, retweeting Alex Jones, talking about like wokeness and just loads of insane shit, really. And it just feels like so many of these men just have nothing but Twitter. And Cat Turd is probably the best example of this. I'm so like embarrassed I even know this, but he's constantly talked about how much time he's put into Twitter, and he literally uses Twitter all day. I remember someone showing me something just about the
contact. We don't know who we're dealing with, but neither do they. Command's got new intel. Bombs are popping up across the grid. The threat is now global. We need a sit rep from Paris ASAP. Roger that. Multiple shooters sighted. Here we go. Drop to me. Find out what this tech is and contain it. Copy that. We're running out of time. What's the situation in Tokyo? Do you have eyes on explosives?
We're taking fire! We're getting lit up through! Hostiles down! Bring it on!
Okay to contain the threat. Stay on them. What the hell is this stuff? We're out of time. Everyone fall back.
The amount of times he tweets is just so insane. And it feels like it could only be from someone who probably spent most of his time, you know, doing stuff with his family or looking after children, and then suddenly you don't have that anymore, and you have bad politics and you're self-radicalizing and you go on Twitter and you're just on it like 24/7 to get some sort of validation, or maybe you're just bored with your life as well. But yeah, it pretty much reads as the same as the Lawrence Fox stuff as well. But of course, on Twitter, it's ruled by the king of the midlife crisis, the king of the divorced dads, the king of deadbeat dads, and that is Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk, in his midlife crisis, decided to buy a social media company for a massive inflated value, probably billions and billions over what it was worth, proceed to tank it in the pursuit of making it easier to feel validation from other people just like him. Now, Elon Musk has, I think, 9 or 10 children. Also, I remember making a video where like Grimes's lawyers actually use like the private jet tracker that's just recently been banned or whatever, to hunt him down, to try and get him to pay his fair share of child support. But from his, you know, actual marriage, because I think he's only been married once, Elon Musk's daughter files to change last name, and this was back in 2022. so his 18-year-old daughter, Vivian Jenna Wilson, who's also transgender. And in the document, she said she wants to be recognized as a female, but the name change isn't just about her transition. Vivian lists her reasons for the name change as gender identity and the fact that I no longer live with or wish to be related to my biological father in any way, shape, or form. And this is because, obviously, Elon Musk, for a long, long time, has used his platform on Twitter to write loads of transphobic stuff. And seemingly, after this, he got even worse, where he just posts the most insane transphobia, basically 24/7. And like I said, when you're someone like Elon Musk, you go through a divorce, and maybe your kids want absolutely nothing to do with you, kind of have two options. Look inward. What have you done wrong? Reflect on that. Or actually, no, it's everyone else's fault. So Elon Musk blames schools for rift with daughter. She doesn't want to spend time with me. Elon Musk blames his trans daughter's progressive school for their now non-existent relationship, according to a new excerpt of his upcoming biography. But Tesla CEO heard about his daughter's transition from someone else, according to Walter Isaacson, the author, who spent over 3 years following Musk. Hey, I'm transgender and my name is now Jenna, the teen texted Musk's sister-in-law. Don't tell my dad. Musk claims, according to Isaacson, that his daughter went beyond socialism to being a full communist and thinking that anyone rich is evil. She severed all communications and relations with him. Isaacson said the rift pained Musk more than anything in his life since the infant death of his first child, Nevada. I've made many overtures, Musk says, of his attempts to repair his relationships with his trans daughter, but she doesn't want to spend time with me. Musk also partly blames his daughter's ideology and decision to cut him out of her life on Crossroads, a progressive school Jenner attended in LA. Musk believes, according to Isaacson, that Twitter had become infected by a similar mindset that suppressed right-wing and anti-establishment voices. If I wanted to get an insight into how evil rich people were, I think the child of Elon Musk would probably be a good, starting point. So I'm not surprised, if it's true she went full communist, that she did when your father is Elon Musk. And then in response, what does he do? Like I said, get even more transphobic, get even more pathetic. And honestly, he is like the most pathetic, rich, powerful person I've ever seen. His constant need for validation from just the worst people on the internet is just so hilariously sad. And just like with that interview and the biography, no accountability. Doesn't stop posting transphobia. He doubles and triples down while letting transphobia run absolutely rampant on the platform, also boosted personally by him. But that's why conservatism is so funny to me. They always talk about personal responsibility, accountability. Musk here isn't saying, I love my children, but I believe, being transgender is wrong and stuff, so I've sacrificed my relationship. He's like, I've tried to reach out, but she's rejected me because she's full communist. Anyway, here is me completely demonizing their entire existence. I wonder why they don't like me anymore. Now, the culmination of all of this is a man called Ben Hart, who next to Elon is like the president of the Deadbeat Divorced Dads Club on Twitter. Now, like I said, Curtis Connor made a whole video about this. I might play you a bit. Where it's basically someone revealed that her dad had left the family because he wanted to pursue a career in breakdancing. And in response, the dad made numerous videos responding to his daughter about how she's completely wrong.
Maddie's funny trauma is pretty unique, though.
My dad abandoned my family when I was 5 years old. That is a wife and 4 kids. He abandoned us and then pursued amateur breakdancing. And he got really good. He blew up. He became a D-list celebrity status, viral breakdancer. He became the oldest actively competing breakdancer in the world. Then he got on Good Morning America and talk shows, and Washington Post wrote about him, and he went super viral.
So you take a look at this 60-year-old breakdancer.
Not have paid for some of my medical bills growing up, but he did give me this breakdancing merchandise. So that's him. He's on his head. Benihana is his b-boy name. I'll get texts like this. Happy birthday, ?
And frankly, I was pretty chagrined by what I heard, to say the least. However, I do need to correct a few statements in the video. First, I can see that as a 5-year-old, Maddie would see her dad as having abandoned the family. One day I was living there. The next day, I wasn't. And that will look like abandonment to a child. But married couples do get divorced about half the time in America. And I was just living a mile or so down the street in LaGrange, Illinois. Now, about not paying medical bills. That's just not correct. Maddie's mom, my ex-wife, got $2 million at the get-go. Plus, I was paying her $18,000 per month in child support and alimony. In all, I paid out about $5 million to my ex-wife.
My dad posted like a 10-minute video or whatever being like, you know, my daughter's lying. We have a great relationship. I have a great relationship with all my kids. That's just objectively not true. Like, guys, we're all freaking out about this in my family group chat right now. We're being like, he's so unhinged and delusional.
And the contradictions continue.
We don't know if he actually believes his own narrative or if he's lying on purpose, but he's just like a weird guy. Yeah, he said he lived down the street from us.
And I was just living a mile or so down the street in LaGrange, Illinois.
That's not true. Or like if he did, it was only for a few months maybe, but actually for most of my childhood, he lived in Florida with his new wife. Like basically like he left us, immediately married another woman. We didn't hear from him for years.
If you watch Curtis's video, I'm pretty sure you'll come away thinking that she's telling the truth and this guy is lying. But anyway, nothing quite says Father of the Year than publicly calling out your child on Twitter instead of talking to them. But that's exactly what he did. So he writes, I wake up at 6 a.m. to find that my daughter has posted a TikTok video trashing me. She's a big social media influencer, millions of followers. Here it is. And then, of course, the king of the divorced dads comes in. You are awesome. And Ben replying, thank you, Elon. I'm a huge fan of you. Tesla and Bitcoin are my two biggest investments. Releases another video, part 2. My Hollywood daughter continues social media storm against me. Her Bitcoiner breakdancing dad.
So I agreed to pay her $250 per week while the writer's strike was still going on.
And you know what? He almost had me for a second. He almost had me on his side for a sec. But then out of nowhere, he kind of went into this weird rant about how men shouldn't get married.
And when you think about it, it really makes no financial sense anymore for males to get married. Yes, Maddie was brainwashed against her dad by her mom for 19 years. That's true. In a divorce situation, the mother is the one who really ends up raising the kids. It's then the dad's job to provide the money. Meanwhile, the mom, the ex-wife, is with the kids almost the entire time, dumping all over the dad. Now, there's this other element. The kids are also being brainwashed into leftist woke insanity by the schools, starting in kindergarten, all the way through college and grad school. Girls in school are taught to hate men, to see themselves as victims of the so-called patriarchy. And they're taught that there are many genders. And why not consider changing your gender? The schools should be teaching reading, writing, math, science, and marketable skills. There's almost nothing of value being taught in the schools. It's all political indoctrination into woke ideology.
Most people don't realize how much the woke virus is poisoning the minds of their kids. Better to take them out of school than allow Soviet-level indoctrination to take place. And that is just so funny. 2 50-year-old, maybe 6-year-old divorced dads whose daughters hate them, both talking publicly on Twitter how, yeah, it's the fault of the schools. Not that I just like fucked off one day and I've never been there for my kids, like apparently Ben has according to his daughter, or Elon, where I'm invalidating my child's entire identity and actually posting loads of shit on my own platform to millions and millions of people that makes their life actually more dangerous. But don't worry, it's not me, it's the woke schools telling them to hate their parents. And in response, Ben says, thank you, Elon. I love you. Thank you most of all for saving free speech and defending civilization. Oh my God. It's just so pathetic. It's just so pathetic. And it just says so much as well. Now, if you go on Ben's actual profile, it literally is just the most like Facebook Uncle Boomer anti-woke shit you've ever seen. So this guy initially got some sort of attention for being a breakdancer, an old man breakdancer. And then suddenly now he's got some exposure to the right wing. So on his YouTube channel, it went from just posting clips of him breakdancing and old news reports to just like making fucking long ass videos about my true opinion of Donald Trump. Documentary that's nearly 2 hours. And then just like loads of fucking other videos about his like wife, who's from Laos, and talking about his daughter, which has 700 fucking K views. And then there's an old news story I watched of him talking on CNN where he's saying that it's wrong for student activists to protest for universities' investment in apartheid South Africa, which was kind of weird watching that considering everything that's going on. So it's clear this guy is probably always quite right-wing. But I just think it's so funny. These parents all have the same trajectory. And I think something I kind of overlooked, because I don't really know too many conservatives and divorce dads in my own life, although you see plenty on Twitter, is wealth does come into this as well, because these three people I spoke about, don't know about Capto, because I don't know anything fucking about him, but Lawrence Fox is rich, Elon Musk is rich, apparently this guy is rich as well. So the wealth comes into it as well. So it's, you know, people with too much money, too much free time, and what do they do with that free time? They spend it on Twitter self-radicalizing themselves and going further and further down a rabbit hole, which will ensure their children probably will never come back because they're not doing the work to make themselves better parents, or they're not seeking forgiveness for not being great parents. It's no, wokeness' fault that my kids don't like me for being a bad father. Now, of course, it's a common trend with all these people, and these people are hardly like sympathetic characters at all. And I do understand how maybe being a divorced father is obviously like really hard for a lot of people. And like I've said, especially with things like patriarchy that instill in you that being provider, father, husband in this more like traditional marriage, we talk about trad wives a lot recently, like that becomes your identity. And what happens if that identity goes away? What happens if, you know, the mother gets custody of the children, like primary custody, you only see them every so often, then you're just left alone, nothing to do, thinking about where it all went wrong, and in that despair, maybe you turn to somewhere like Twitter just for some sort of community and you go down that rabbit hole. Maybe that can happen as well. I'm not discounting that, but when you take these guys who were already right-wing, rich, and they go that way anyway, it just seems like they were always pretty terrible, and it's just the divorce and their children turning against them just sent them literally down this path. I'm just gonna join in with the far right on Twitter and just post all this anti-woke shit and just be incredibly embarrassing and just be incredibly oblivious to why I caused so many problems in the first place. But yeah, not too deep this video. I thought it was just an interesting one of how it just keeps going up, but like new rich divorced dads whose kids hate them keep popping up on Twitter with like the worst takes ever and just being embarrassing. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching.
We control Alpha. The enemy took Charlie. Enemy UAV active. We're losing Alpha. Securing objective Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to XDefiant. The game turns 1 week old tomorrow. On Tuesday, they'll mark the 1 week anniversary of XDefiant launching, and during that initial launch window, a lot of people have jumped on the game, they've experienced it, they've tried things out, and of course, a lot of feedback and a lot of criticism are being levied towards the XDefiant developers. Well, today we're going to be covering a number of pretty big changes that are going to be coming to XDefiant because, believe it or not, the developers are listening. They are taking in that community feedback, and they are going to be making some pretty hefty adjustments to the game as a result of that community feedback, and I'm pretty excited about this because in my eyes, virtually every update here is going to be a positive one. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. First things first, coming from the head honcho himself, Mark Rubin, netcode and hit registration. A lot of people talking about it, and we are listening. We are working on improvements. There are 1,000 plus things that can affect netcode, and we need to investigate and fix each and every one. So it will take some time, but we will see improvements. To add to that, he notes that there are numerous other topics that people have brought up about XDefiant, and they are listening. They are using software that searches across social media, Reddit, Discord, and etc. for topics, and it gives them a big list, and they're attacking that list as fast as they can. I think obviously that is going to be the #1 concern within XDefiant. I made videos about this back during the playtest. It doesn't matter how good the guns feel. It doesn't matter how pretty the maps are. It doesn't matter how slow the weapons level up, which honestly they need to level up a little bit faster, but none of that matters, right? nothing matters if the core foundation of the game just fundamentally doesn't work. Like when you're shooting at somebody and your bullets aren't hitting because of the servers, or if they're shooting back at you and they're not able to hit you, or if you're 10 feet around the corner and somehow you're still dying, like those are fundamental issues when it comes to an online fast-paced first-person shooter. And with XDefiant being an arcade shooter, meaning that as soon as you get one kill, you better expect 2 or 3 more people to start shooting at you. Like it can sometimes feel chaotic, it can sometimes feel overwhelming, and it really sucks when you feel like you did everything right. Like you juked and you jived, you got around that corner, you took out 2 people, but it doesn't matter because even though you got around that corner on your screen, you're still a couple feet behind on the other screen and you're dead. And it feels bad when it seems like you as a player are able to outperform the servers themselves. Like your reaction time is quick enough, your reflexes are good enough, but the servers can't keep up with you. That really sucks. And apparently netcode and hit registration are 2 of the biggest things that they are currently working on over on the XDefiant team. The next update is going to be coming in from Aches, who of course is a lead developer on the game, who says that we do intend to penalize players for too many repeated jumps and crouches by adding aim sway. This was disabled after our tests while we made some needed improvements, and unfortunately did not make it in time for launch, but rest assured, we will get this in as soon as possible. We absolutely want players to use all mechanics in our game and not feel restricted, but there's a sweet spot between intended use and spam, and we want to get that right. One of the biggest bits of feedback I'm seeing from the community would be the number of bunny hoppers within XDefiant. It's pretty much everywhere because there's really no penalty for it whatsoever, and nowadays because of Call of Duty and because of advertisements on YouTube and things, pretty much everybody uses a fancy controller with back paddles. Well, the result of all that is when you get into lobbies where people are actually a little bit sweaty, which does not happen all the time because of course there is no skill-based matchmaking, but when you do get into those lobbies and people are just spam jumping constantly, it's just really frustrating. Honestly, I think that's the best way I can possibly put it. So what they're going to be doing is when people are spam jumping constantly, they're going to be getting a bunch of aim sway, which is going to make it a lot more difficult for them to hit their shots, which should be interesting because they do want people to be able to jump shot within the game. They don't want them to feel too restricted, but they don't want them spamming constantly either. There has to be a sweet spot, and apparently that is something that they are working on. Now, speaking of finding the sweet spot, let's talk about these sniper rifles within this game, because currently, as XDefiant says, these sniper rifles are basically what we saw back during Black Ops Cold War, where because they have no flinch, they are virtually uncounterable. It's one of those things, right? I think that snipers need to be good, especially in a fast-paced game like this. They have to have pretty fast handling, they have to reward people for having good reaction time, but when there is zero flinch on the sniper rifle itself, it results in a situation where once somebody gets really good with a sniper, there's nothing the other people can do. If there's somebody who's really good with an M16, they can be countered, they can be outgunned. If somebody's really good with an MP5, they can be countered, they can be outgunned. You know, name any other weapon category in the game, the ACR, you know, you can talk about the light machine guns or whatever. But when it comes to a good sniper with an XDefiant, if you're shooting at them and they have no flinch, then the only counter to a very good sniper is them missing. So you basically take away all control from the player and put it in the hands of the person with the sniper rifle. If you're being lit up with a submachine gun or an assault rifle, you should have some flinch. You shouldn't just be able to left trigger, right trigger down people. And apparently Aches agrees with this. Of course, I did post a video about my thoughts on snipers on Twitter the other day, and then Aches responded, "We're actively working on fixing hit flinch, so don't fear," which seems to indicate that snipers will indeed have flinch, which again ties into that entire idea of having a sweet spot. You want the snipers to be fast handling, you want to reward people for having really good reaction time and really good accuracy, but there has to be some balance in there so that when people are shooting them back, they have to have at least some flinch, because otherwise you have situations like we had back in Black Ops Cold War where snipers were virtually uncounterable. You had to basically just hope that they missed, otherwise you died, which creates a really bad gameplay paradox. So I'm very happy that they're working on that and that snipers are indeed going to have flinch in the relatively near future. Now, speaking of things that are going to be added in the future, we have Mark Rubin confirming today that yes, indeed, they are adding Search and Destroy. As of right now, we don't know when that's going to be, presumably Season 1, but Search and Destroy will be coming to XDefiant, as well as a ping system, which was in the works, but it was apparently stalled out because the people working on it had to be moved to more high priority stuff, because of course when hit registration and stuff like that are not really working within the game, obviously you want to focus on that as compared to adding a ping system, but eventually down the line a ping system will be coming. So there you guys have it. The XDefiant devs are indeed listening. We have a situation now where they are going to continue to work on the servers and hit registration, which is fantastic. They're going to be nerfing snipers ever so slightly to make them come down to earth a little bit more. A ping system is coming, Search and Destroy is coming, and in your more day-to-day gameplay, you're going to see jump shotters and bunny hoppers being nerfed down a little bit, which definitely sounds like some pretty good news. So we're not even 1 week into the game being out, and they're already announcing all of these changes based on community feedback, which is incredible, honestly. I mean, obviously obviously some people are going to say, well, how is this stuff not in the game at launch? Regardless, they're still working on it. They're going to be putting that stuff out there, and something is better than nothing. I'm happy they're taking that feedback to heart, and I'm happy that they're going to be adding that stuff to the game and making these tweaks and making these changes, because again, virtually every single thing here is a positive update, at least in my own personal opinion. And I'm also interested to see what other updates they may have for us as we move forward. For example, right now we're currently within the preseason, which is only going to be lasting for 6 weeks. After that, we have a regular seasonal system, season 1, season 2, season 3. With those seasons, what exactly do they plan to add to the game? Obviously, they talked about search and destroy and a ping system, but what about something like a prestige system? What about something like a more robust challenge system within the game that rewards players more for their time? As of right now, this is a free-to-play game, therefore you can expect the microtransactions and how the monetization works to be a bit wonky, but outside of bronze, silver, and gold camos, there really isn't a whole lot for the player to work towards in the game, and I feel like for the long-term success of a free-to-play shooter like this, players have to be engaged whether or not they swipe their credit card. So I'm interested to see what progression paths they have going forward. Prestige mode, obviously, once again, that's a very big one for me personally, but the things that we have right now, the things right in the first week of the game being out, are very positive changes in my opinion, but of course, that's where you guys come in. What do you think of these updates? What do you think of these changes? Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments, as well as what else you would personally change about the game. Let me know all about that. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.
Friendly UAV online. Secure the area.
For today's video, I'm wearing a very fitting t-shirt which says, "Dinosaurs are cool, transphobia is not." Oh yes, and you can get one for yourself down in the description box. Also available as jumpers and stickers. Hey Spuds, it's Jamie, welcome back to another video, fast video on the channel. I don't know, but welcome either way. I'm very glad to have you here, particularly today, because today I need your support. Today we are looking at some very bizarre examples of transphobia. This is a series that I like to call Are the Transphobes Okay? Absolutely, definitely not. They're really not okay. And these are some examples of extra bizarre transphobia, just odd things, mostly found on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, that I have screenshot and accumulated over recent months, and now I have enough for a video, so welcome. We're going to be looking at this today. Some of the ones today I think involve me. Yay. How big-headed. I'm involving odd transphobia aimed at me. I am trans, for anybody new here, and yes, that's what we're doing today, just looking at some really interesting instances of people being transphobic, and we're going to break down why it's transphobic and why it's wrong to be transphobic. I mean, for that second one, it's just a bit of a butt if you're a transphobe, but whatever. Anyway, shall we get on with it? Let's go. Well, we're kicking it off with the I love JK Rowling posters. I heart JK Rowling stuff seems to show up at a lot of these anti-trans gatherings. This one, I believe, was in response to a train station or a tube line having some kind of pride display and people, TERFs, not being happy about it for some reason. Oh yeah, because it was trans inclusive, and apparently that's not allowed. You can see the one on the right. I've covered the other faces in here, but the one on the right has very cleverly chosen to cover their own face with their I Heart JK Rowling. So, I mean, if that's not a slightly cowardly move, I don't know what is.
Yes, let me show up to protest against trans people for no good reason, saying that I love J.K. Rowling, probably one of the most prominent TERFs in the UK, and somebody spewing a lot of transphobia all the time. I will hide behind my placard.
Yeah, transphobes just not being okay. Were they even transphobic? Is it just somebody that they admire is now being transphobic and they're like, I stand with this woman, and that's what they're doing? I don't know, but they love J.K. Rowling. Love her. Protest against the Hate Crime Act outside the Scottish Parliament. Imagine protesting against a hate crime act and still thinking you're the good guys. Yes. There was some interesting banners at this one as well. Essentially, for a bit of background, I'll read it to you. In short, this is just a clip from an article about it. This new law, act, whatever, in Scotland is intended to consolidate existing hate crime laws, but also create a new offence of threatening or abusive behaviour which is intended to stir up hatred on the grounds of age, disability, religion, sex orientation, transgender identity, and variations in sex characteristics. So clearly, this is an act that is designed to protect a lot lot of different people with a lot of different characteristics that cause them to receive hate and discrimination and not be treated fairly or kindly in a lot of instances. And TERFs were like,
oh my god, they're gonna send us to jail for misgendering a trans person.
and it's not that. There are more protections in place, hopefully, but it's not just about trans people. It's very much going alongside this general pattern of transphobia, where it's being transphobic to the point where it's at the expense of everything else. It's not caring about anything else or anyone else other than making sure that you are being overtly transphobic. So there's no recognition that this act actually protects lots of different people with lots of different characteristics and is something that is very important and necessary. All they are seeing is,
Oh my god, trans people have a little bit more protection. Oh my god, we're not seeing the fact that they're one group among many that are having these extra little protections. It's just trans people to us, and we must protest against this. We will not go to prison for free speech.
and they have completely extrapolated what this act means and what the laws are. And going back to J.K. Rowling, she went on this big rant basically, and people were saying that she was goading police into arresting her and deliberately going after trans women in particular and misgendering them on Twitter as a protest against this law. And a lot of transphobes felt like it was an attack on free speech, totally forgetting that free speech does not mean free of consequence. So, sorry, you're being told that you cannot hate on people for being trans, for being gay, for being a different age, for having a disability, and you have a problem with that? That says a lot more about you than anybody else. To me, that shows an active want to be hateful and deliberately discriminatory towards trans people, because that's the bit that was being protested against. And it's like, so you really think that is a good stance to have? You were standing out in the street and saying with your whole chest,
I want to be transphobic and not get in trouble. I should be allowed to discriminate against trans people.
and you think that's okay? Protesting against a hate crime act. Interesting choices, and this is why the answer is no, they're not okay. Hello, just popping in here to let you know that I am going on tour. Oh my god. Spilling the Tea with Jamie and Jabba is coming to the US this June, just in time for Pride season. We're going to the top 7 most voted for cities by you, and we're going to be joined by some amazing people, including Skylar Baylor, Mercury Stardust, and Jackson Bird, and more. So please come along. I'm really hoping that this tour is going to be super uplifting and just an amazing trans safe space. We can talk about my book, do Q&As, sign books. Gonna meet so many of you. I'm really looking forward to it. I am also very nervous though, partly because of anxiety, but also I'm genuinely just worried nobody's gonna show up. So please come along if you can, so that I am not talking to an empty room. Although that's definitely my self-esteem, because saying that, I think Seattle might have sold out, but there's plenty of tickets left for the East Coast cities, so come along. You can check out exactly where we're going, who we're going to be joined with, and get tickets for yourself using the link in the description box. Thank you very much. And now I'll let you get on with the video. So tonight, Madonna wore a Progress Pride flag at her concert in London. The homophobic flag used by trans activists represents the erasure of same-sex attraction, destruction of women's rights, and the indoctrination and mutilation of children. Hello, Spuds. We all know this isn't true, but like the imaginary power that these people think that the trans community has is astronomical. I can't get my head around it. Do they really think that trans people as a community have the ability to erase same-sex attraction, destroy women's rights, and indoctrinate children? And they're going after the trans community for indoctrination of children and not anybody else, where there is actually things going on. And they're going after trans people for destroying women's rights and not, let me think, misogynistic men. And they're going after trans people, saying that we're raising same-sex attraction, and not homophobes and like anti-gay laws and anti-gay bills in various places. But no, it's the trans people. The reason why they think same-sex attraction is being erased is because trans women who are exclusively attracted to women are lesbians, and they're like,
Oh, but actually, because they're a trans women,
not that they see them as women because they're transphobic.
they're not actually same-sex attracted.
And it's just get your head out of your butt and recognize recognize that language evolves, society moves on with new knowledge that we have. Trans women are women, trans men are men, and trans women who are attracted to women are lesbians, trans men who are attracted to men are gay, and there is no destroying of women's rights or indoctrination or mutilation of children going on. If transphobes who have these views actually spoke to trans people, read a bit about the trans community, the transitioning process, all of this stuff, I mean, if they actually listen to it, but it would be so easy to see that none of this is true, because it really is not true. Children cannot even access any irreversible gender affirming care. When they're below like mid to late teens, it is predominantly social things and therapy. So I don't know what they think is happening, and it's definitely not HRT or surgeries. This is a screenshot from a video. I don't know what, but some dude is wearing a sandwich board that says man/husband/dad/granddad, a human male who protects their kids from gender ideology. And there's a QR code. I think it's too blurry to scan. I think that's a QR code. Does he only protect his kids, or does he protect his grandchildren as well? I don't understand why. It's because they don't understand. It's impossible to make a logical conclusion or get your head around something that is so stuck in lies and no logic and no factual basis. You cannot make sense of that properly. They're talking about gender ideology and needing to protect kids from that. I mean, why are we not protecting the middle-aged white people from like going full-blown transphobe because they scroll Twitter for an afternoon? Like, that's what's happening. You're literally reading things that are designed to fearmonger, that are designed to stir up hate towards a marginalized community within society, and totally falling for it. Also, the bits that are underlined is because this guy, probably not wanting to, has referred to himself using a singular version of they, them, their pronouns. So he is a single human male who protects their kids. He's just used gender-neutral pronouns for himself. The confidence that some transphobes have, like you're literally walking out in the street wearing a sandwich board of hate and you're not embarrassed about that? Bizarre to me. This one, I think this was a tweet, and they used a really old comparison photo of mine. So this was when I was like 3 days post-op compared to, oh god, I know what house that was in, so I must have only been up to a couple of years post-op, probably. I had no hair on my chest. Oh my god. My chest is so hairy now in comparison. But it was in French originally, and I've translated it to English and screenshot it. So they're basically upset about like tax contributions going towards gender affirming care. So they use my photos, a Brit living in the UK, as an example of how France's contributions go towards this type of stuff. And this is what they had to say. So change of sex, this is 16 years of your contributions. I don't know how they've calculated this, but let's see if they explain. If you have an average salary in France around €2,500 net, your health contributions around €500 per month. The cost of sex change for a man, complete course, is €100,000. The time that this comparison was taken, I'd only had top surgery and been on testosterone. Definitely did not cost €100,000. Nowhere near. We're talking like sub £10,000. So yeah. Also, I'm trying to think of my metoidioplasty. So I went private for testosterone and my top surgery. To get started on hormones, it was like 500, and for surgery, I think it was 5,000-ish. It was 11 years ago now, so my brain is a little fuzzy on the exact numbers. And then I had metoidioplasty several years after this photo was taken. That does not cost £96,000 to do. So I don't know where they've got €100,000 from. And when they say the cost of sex change for a man, I'm hoping that they're recognizing that I'm a trans man and they're referring to me as a man, but seeing as they're this butthurt about it, I'm not convinced. Anyway, so they think it costs €100,000, fully supported by SecU. I don't know what that is. So you pay about 200 months for just one person to change sex. Yes, you work and contribute for 16 years for your health, only to have one person after 16 years take away everything you have somehow set aside for your health, who can still want to pay contributions. It's so bizarre because it's not like they go, oh, Fred has paid 16 years worth of contributions. We're going to take this pot of money that's labeled Fred's contributions and give it it to Troy, the trans man over here, so that he can transition. That isn't how tax and contributions and things work. I don't exactly know the French system, but it's not based on an individual. We all contribute towards the society we're living in, and that money gets distributed out. You could literally do this calculation for anything, but at the same time, you don't know how many trans people have gone privately. You don't know if that is the exact cost of a trans person's like complete, and I do complete in quotes because every trans person's transition journey is different. You don't know if that's the exact cost. That is absolutely nowhere near what my full cost would have been if somebody had gone, here is every penny for you to transition, and just given it to me. It wouldn't have been 100,000 euros. No. But I find it really odd that somebody's decided to do this. Are there not many other things in society that you don't really want to be contributing your money towards, but you do because that's how things work? That's what we pay taxes for, right? You can moan about it. Some of your money is always going to go towards stuff that you don't like. And when you're paying health contributions, so like in the UK, I don't know if it works the same, but we have the National Health Service and we pay money taken out of salaries to contribute towards that as a general whole. And it's like, who's to say that in the 16 years, this person doing these specific contributions didn't benefit by 100,000 euros in healthcare? Are you not using the health system? Are you not getting healthcare at all? I'm sure that you have used it. So if your money's gone to somebody else, then somebody else's money is helping you. I'm just saying. Very bizarre. Bizarre take. Odd take. Very old photo. 1 million people viewed it. Thank you. Why do people use my face for stuff like this? It happens so frequently. It's weird. Okay, so we have a tweet about Caster Semenya, who has been treated horrendously in the sporting world and just very, very bizarre and has had a real tough time with it. But she said, being born without a uterus, being born with internal testicles, those don't make me less of a woman. Precisely, they do not. Just like trans women are no less women, any kind of woman born with any kind of organs are no less of a woman. Anyway, a well-known TERF, whose name I will cover up because she does not deserve the attention. Being born with testicles, internal, external, makes you a man. So this TERF is now saying that although Caster Semenya herself does not identify with the label of intersex, some women who are born with internal testes would identify with that label. But she's saying that anybody born with that, regardless of outer appearance, regardless of hormone levels, regardless of identity, anything, they are now a man.
Any kind of testicles, inside or outside, makes you a man.
That's a very extreme view. They're trying so hard to be all-encompassing with their transphobia and not let anybody fall through the net that they are really catching a lot of people who are not even trans. They're not even trans people. Caster Semenya is not a trans woman. She's just a woman who has testes inside. And this transphobe is now like,
man, that makes you a man.
To someone who isn't even a trans woman. Like, there's transphobia, and then there's this level of transphobia where it's so extreme that you are being transphobic towards people who aren't even trans because you're so desperate to always be transphobic. That's what it's coming across as. Like, so bizarre. Oh goodness, this. Yes, as I said, I collect these over like the course of some time because I don't specifically go searching for this kind of content. I just save it when I find it and when I'm in the right mood to save it, and then I make a video when I have enough of that content. So I don't know how many of you are aware, but Rishi Sunak, who's currently the British Prime Minister, Tory, if you don't know British politics, not great. He has said and done a lot of transphobic things. One of the more recent things that's happened, he's done more since this happened, but this is a reasonably recent example. He basically made a joke towards the opposition about trans women and the definition of a woman, and it was very uncomfortable. It was transphobic. This is the clip for anybody who's not seen it.
But it's a bit rich, Mr. Speaker, to hear about promises from someone who's broken every single promise he was elected on. Defining a woman. Although in fairness, that was only 99% of a U-turn.
I mean, this is horrendous anyway, to have transphobia treated so casually and like a joke in literally like the height of British politics. Like these are supposed to be serious politicians doing their job, running the country, and they're making transphobic jokes. That's disgusting. That's what I'd expect on a playground, not the House of Commons. But what made this even more disgusting is somebody tweeted the video and and said, when Sunak punched down on trans women for a cheap laugh, he knew the heartbroken mother of a young woman killed in a transphobic attack was watching. Look at his face, an utterly unprincipled bully, and look at how funny nasty Victoria Atkins thought it was. Brianna Gay's mother saw this. She was present, and this still occurred. It would be horrific to occur at any other point, at any other time. It should just never be happening. But the fact that this crass level of transphobia, the transphobia that killed this woman's daughter, was just thrown around as if it was nothing, as if it was a cheap laugh, is horrendous. It should always gain traction when stuff like this happens, because this would not be acceptable and should never be acceptable for any group of people to be treated in this way, to be belittled and laughed at and turned into a joke in any setting, let alone this kind of setting and in politics like this, when we're supposed to be looked after by our government and protected. This made the news a lot though, because Brianna's mother was present, because it was a joke, because that humanized the grossness of the comment, because it was like, oh, we're not just seeing trans people as this group of people where it's okay to make a bad joke about them. There is literally the mother of a dead trans girl present who this was said in the presence of, and that took it down to this more human level of like people could understand how that would cause hurt, and it reached headlines. And just the fact that this is our prime minister, I feel like there's a lot of it going on in many different countries. Transphobia at the minute is just rampant where it should not be rampant. It's still a minority view, but it's reached high places, and that's why it's causing an issue. Okay, to lighten the mood a little off of that political one, we have a lovely little poem by a very upset transphobe. It's called I Am Not a Birthing Person. We're going to cover the name of who it's by because, again, they don't deserve the attention. There's a lot of this going around where transphobes do not like gender-neutral language. This is mostly transphobic cis women who are saying these things. They feel erased as women through the use of gender-neutral language that includes trans masc people. But the thing is, they're not excluded or erased. It's just the term has been broadened where necessary and in contexts where it's relevant to make sure that trans men and AFAB non-binary people know that they are included primarily in like healthcare conversations. So like in terms of menstruation, in terms of cervical cancer and smears and pregnancy, when it's a top level discussion, why is it inappropriate to use inclusive language to make sure that everybody who could possibly be pregnant or require a smear is included in that conversation? And then when you know who you're talking to and their identity, then you can adjust your language to be more exclusive to that person's identity. So it doesn't mean the use of terms like birthing person, I don't know but like other gender neutral terms of a similar vein, it's not saying that women don't exist and that women don't have this experience. And as soon as if you are a cis woman and you are going in for these conversations, you're not going to be referred to as a birthing person on an individual level. It's just inclusive language, and I don't know why people get so upset about it. Anyway, this is a whole poem about inclusive language. I am not a birthing person. Be kind, you said. Just call us she. Who will it hurt? Just let us be. Why only she? Is it because it rhymed with be? I agreed at first, through kindness and grace, but I did not consent to my womanhood erased. You call me things like cervix have a vagina owner. You demand that lesbians accept your lady bone. They're talking about terms that are intended to include trans men and AFAB non-binary people, but then they're talking about trans women, like with the pronouns and things like that. But I am not a birthing person, and I am not a chest feeder. I am not your gestational carrier, not your surrogate, not your breeder. Surrogate. Really, this is taken to the extreme. This is language that is not used. It's like people with a cervix, people with a vagina, and yes, trans women who are exclusively attracted to women are lesbians. You don't have to date them, but they are lesbians. You call me these things, but want me as your ally. You're clearly not an ally. Want me to respect your pronouns? Well, I will not comply.
Oh, because I disagree with inclusive language, and I think that trans people should be excluded from healthcare conversations. Because you want to be included in healthcare conversations, I'm not going to gender you correctly. I'm deliberately going to misgender you because you've annoyed me very much.
So back you go to your rightful male spaces. We gave you a chance, but you threw it in our faces. The victimizing, the holier than thou attitude of like,
you asked for too much. This is your fault.
That's just a very, very bad take. We are women. We are mothers. Our words won't be negated, and we will not stand by and see our rights obliterated. Do you ever think that maybe trans people are just like, you know, the people whose rights are actually, you know, people are trying to obliterate our rights right now? That's all we want, just to have rights, to be treated with basic human respect, to be involved in healthcare conversations so that we know what kind of healthcare we need to go for and be involved in those conversations and know that we're included. And this, I know that this person knows nothing about the trans community because they're talking about inclusive language to include trans men and AFAB non-binary people, but they are talking and being transphobic against trans women. They've not actually included trans men in their conversation. They are sounding very unhappy towards trans women, but actually the reason why neutral language like birthing person would ever be used is because of trans men who've not even been included in this. They're punishing trans women for the language that is intended to include trans men, which is so bizarre. Like you don't know anything. You're talking out of your butt. Ugh. I'm a little bit obsessed by the fact that some TERFs are getting so upset that they're writing like emo poetry that's just so confused and conflicted. Oh God. Okay, there was this really cool ad. There was a trans model in a Dutch store, like modeling underwear, like men's underwear. Super cool. I love this. I think I have, or I will be including the conversation more in depth around the positive side of this in a good trans anatomy video. But the trans folks were unhappy. Time to boycott in the Netherlands. They are boycotting a country. Do you mean to tell me that they couldn't find a healthy young male model? Stop promoting this horrendous butchery on young women. The hilarious thing is they've used the colors of the non-binary flag in their Twitter handle. That's very weird. Someone who's like, boycott an entire country that doesn't need you. Imagine being this fragile because people exist. I know, imagine seeing this happy young man modeling underwear and just getting so mad that you're gonna boycott a whole country.
We will never see the tulips again. No. The windmills.
And then promoting this horrendous butchery on young women. I don't know if TERFs just don't realize, but the way they speak about women's bodies generally, and especially when they're then misgendering trans men and calling us women, and then talking about our bodies as if we are women, it's so bizarre the way that they speak about bodies and speak about bodies that they perceive as being women's bodies. And, you know, kind of by proxy of that, how they speak about women's bodies. But it's like this whole healthy breast tissue thing, like it's some kind of tragedy that anybody of any gender would not have their breasts for particular reasons. Can't they see that the way they're talking about certain bodies is really problematic and almost feeding into and egging on misogynistic ways of speaking about women's bodies? Just putting it out there.
But yes, let's boycott Holland.
So no privacy for women. Yet again, the sticky unisex toilet floor. Let's just go all the way. I will happily sit and urinate in theatre seat. Save me getting up. They can sponge it after and suggest younger women change and leave used sanitary products in the lobby. Oh, they're boycotting toilets now because of gender-neutral toilets because the floor is sticky. They are going to piss in their seats and change in the lobby. Where has this come from? I'm trying to think of situations. There's very few situations where gender-neutral toilets aren't neutral to the point where it's like, here's a toilet for everybody. You open the door and it's a bunch of like individual stalls where you also wash your hands. It's completely private. It's no different to if you go to the toilet on an airplane. I don't see why you are complaining or have any right to complain about gender neutral toilets anywhere else. Like why? Because like they're individual stalls. It's really bizarre. And to be like, oh, I hate these facilities to the point that you are now threatening to perform public urination. I think you're going to get in trouble for that. It's just such a odd take. A lot of the anger and a lot of the responses from transphobes to me feels like when a child gets really upset about something and doesn't properly know how to communicate why they're upset because they don't actually understand why they're upset. They're just really, really mad and they kind of start shouting and having a tantrum and saying all these things to show that they're really, really mad. But it doesn't make sense because they're just not articulating at all why they're upset. Because I don't know if they even understand it. Like, why do you hate gender neutral toilets so much? Really describe it. Because if it's something to do with like trans people, then I don't understand. And it's like,
it's trans people's fault that these gender neutral toilets exist.
Come on. People are so bizarre. They should boycott plane toilets as well. I feel like a lot of airports have gender-neutral toilets too. I mean, you're about to be in a metal box with only gender-neutral toilets on, so why not? So at weekend just gone at the final event in Blackpool Ultimate Pool event, we had 2 other women concede their games against transgender opposition, and this issue won't go away. We will not be silenced anymore. It takes a huge amount of courage to walk away from any match. And then Turf, who again I'm going to cover her name. Pool players taking a stand. I mean, it's getting a lot now because it was always very active, like running, swimming type sports that trans folks were going after to be like,
Trans women have a physical, biological advantage.
even though a study has shown that they actually do not. Those were the sports that they were going after, the ones where physicality and like fitness and physical ability were very important. Now we're seeing things like pool, and I'm not saying there's not skill with I cannot play pool, I am rubbish at it. I'm assuming with things like snooker, but it's not like running, swimming. It's like the chess thing all over again. What are you trying to say? Because at least on one level you could see how someone who didn't understand and didn't read into it could think that a trans woman may have a physical advantage in a physical sport like swimming, running, hurdles, whatever. But then when you look at the research and you actually think about it and you realize that trans women have been able to compete in the Olympics in the women's category since 2004 and not a single medal has been won, there's clearly no domination of women's sports going on. And the fact that sport at elite levels is really heavily monitored, and it's also just not fair generally because people have very different bodies for various different reasons. There's so many things that just make the whole like
No trans women in women's sports thing
bullshit, particularly for like young kids and stuff. You're just excluding them and being arseholes at that point. But digression. When it comes to things like chess, it's not a physical sport. What are they trying to say when they think trans women should be excluded? What are you trying to say when you think trans women have an unfair advantage over cis women when playing pool? Just a question, you know. A gender-critical t-shirt that a transphobe made to goad people outside of their kids' school. It's absolutely perfect. No notes. Retweet when you see it. Educate, not indoctrinate. Beautiful. I absolutely think that a lot of transphobes need some education rather than indoctrination. So indoctrination is the process of teaching a person or group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically. Personally, I think it's not trans people or trans allies that need protecting from indoctrination. It's not children that need to be protected from gender ideology and trans people when it comes to indoctrination. It's actually TERFs. Like, those are the groups of people who are uncritically accepting things as truth when they are not truth, and they are just going along with a set of beliefs that they see spouted on the internet, and these things do not have peer-reviewed studies that back them up. They do not have evidence. They do not have the groups of people actually living the experience agreeing with you. Trans people are saying the opposite to trans folks. Seriously, it is like when you stop listening to the people who are experiencing something firsthand, when you stop listening to the scientific evidence, when you stop listening to the doctors, that's when you are the one who's being indoctrinated, because you are accepting a bunch of shit without looking into it. You are uncritically going along with TERF ideology, and you can't even spell it. Something happened to me today, and I don't really know what to do about it. Oh dear. So I was in the bathroom when someone who is a TIFF, for anyone who doesn't know, a TIFF means trans-identified female, a TIM means trans-identified male. It's a really derogatory set of terms that transphobes use towards trans people. So TIFF is the very rude and incorrect term for trans men. So a trans man came into the bathroom. I asked them to please leave, and they said that they were born with 2 X chromosomes. They said they were instructed to use the ladies' restroom because they were born a woman but transitioned later in life or something. Is this going to go where I think it's going to go? But I swear to God, this person looks so weird. Like, they look super masculine. They even have a beard and everything. Funny that, hello, trans man here. I talked to the upper management, but they said that's where they have to pee because they were born a woman and are still marked as a woman on their birth certificate. Now I feel uncomfortable. What should I do? This is literally what you want. This is what TERFs wanted, and now they're complaining. TERFs wanted to push trans women into men's spaces and force them to pee in the men's men's bathrooms, and therefore that means trans men are going to be pushed into the women's spaces. Trans men, regardless of transition stage or what they have needed to do in their personal transitions, trans men like me, trans men with beards and flat chests and penises are going to be forced into the women's restrooms. And that's making you feel uncomfortable? Well, you did it. This is what transphobes were asking for. So what are you going to do? By the way, this is what they look like. There's a photo underneath that I'm not going to include, but they looked something kind of like this. Oh, so this is not what they look like, but they look something like this. So they just picked a random photo of a guy or a trans guy or somebody off the internet like,
they look kind of like this person.
I'm showing you this picture so you get an idea of what I was looking at. She didn't look like a girl at all anymore. I don't know what to do. We both work together. You don't know what to do. This makes me so mad because this is literally what trans people have been saying for years. It's been like, do not push trans people out of the spaces for their gender. That is so wrong. If you're trying to argue that you think trans women should use the men's room because you think trans women are men and men don't belong in the women's room, you're literally pushing men, as in trans men, into the women's. Like, you are doing exactly what you claim you do not want to do because you are so blinded by transphobia and fake facts about trans people. It's so ridiculous. Like, this person is so close. I feel like they just need to have, like, just go sit down in the grass and have a think, and maybe you'll make a realization. This trans-identifying male, a trans woman, is taking photos in toilets. Do women do this? And there's a photo of a woman, who I presume is trans, taking a mirror selfie in a bathroom. Yes, lots of people do this. Men, women, non-binary, anybody, loads of. Why are you making it a big deal? It's like,
oh my god, a trans woman has used a phone in a bathroom. How inappropriate. How dare she take a photo of herself. Cis women do not do this.
Yes, they do. Oh, here it is. J.K. Rowling looking forward to being arrested over new Scotland hate crime law. Lovely. Imagine transphobia and hate being what you now devote your life to. There is no such person who is not a woman or a man. A man who calls himself trans is still a man. A woman who calls herself trans is still a woman. Call yourself whatever you prefer. However, women do not want men in their sports, loos, and support groups. Could almost read as accidental ally. Just saying. The Twitter bio of this group is, women's rights are based on sex, biology, not an idea of which sex stereotype you identify with, gender identity. Defend women's sex-based rights. The thing is, there's no recognition that transphobia exists and discrimination against trans people exists in its own right. There's also no recognition that trans women are actually incredibly vulnerable and experience a lot of violence because they're trans women. They get both violence for being trans and for being women, and for being trans women. They are treated as women when they face this violence, and also as trans women. People are not using X-ray vision to see somebody's genitals or chromosomes before they attack somebody on the basis of them being a woman. I feel like it's incredibly rude and it's incredibly blatant to go after trans people, specifically as trans women, who get the real shit under the stick with this in discussions around male violence towards women. That's not trans people's problems, and trans women face a lot of it themselves because they are women. It's using a scapegoat. It's like, go after the real problem because then something might actually happen about it that's positive, you know. Trans women are men. Stow transing kid. They couldn't put a little bit of effort into getting a proper banner. They just coloured it in. Really? It's so unaesthetic and boring. Seriously? What did you do over the weekend?
Well, Joanne, I coloured in a very large piece of material with a transphobic saying. I stood on top of a bridge and I held it there with my 4 friends.
Wow. Calling men women, transitioning children, taking over women's spaces, these are the real hate crimes. But go ahead, Scotland, arrest us all for saying that humans cannot change sex and that men, whatever they call themselves, can never be women. Oh, they just like to martyr themselves. Like, the victimization among transphobes. It's like, actually discuss the problem at hand. Because the thing is that women, and when I say women, I mean trans women and cis women, all women, do face violence and inequality. But where transphobes have gone very wrong is they are blaming a portion of those women for the problem. Trans women are women. They are not men who we are calling women. Nobody is transitioning children. Go and read about the process of trans kids transitioning, and then maybe you'd understand a bit more. And then taking over women's spaces. We've just addressed that if you kick trans women out of women's spaces, you're forcing trans men into them, which not only is incredibly uncomfortable for everybody involved because trans men are men who do not belong in women's spaces, but it also would make it significantly easier for cis men to gain access to women's spaces by just saying that they are trans men. So really, not that there's any evidence that this happens, but if a cis man wanted to access women's spaces to be horrible and do something bad, do you think he's A, going to pretend to be a woman, or B, pretend to be a trans man? What do you think is easier? Which one would involve not having to change his appearance at all? You're going to cause a bigger issue by forcing trans men into women's spaces. Anyway, the little image below going, men can never be women, and somebody being burned at a stake. Initially, I thought that she was spitting on the fire. I was like, it's probably not going to do much, but I think she's lighting a cigarette. There you go. I don't go on Twitter very often, and occasionally I see things I'm tagged in. So of course I saw a negative thing I was tagged in. Somebody said, from what I've seen on YouTube, a lot of FTMs have voices with a spooky and eerie feel to it, as if they are possessed by the devil. Jamie and Sam, as in Sam Collins, if you don't know who Sam Collins is, go check him out, comes to mind. I don't know why they've picked on me and Sam specifically. We have very different voices, like very different accents. Sam's voice is significantly deeper than mine, only a little bit jealous. So I made some like spoofy short about it and I posted it. I actually think this was on Threads. Someone replied going, it's not the voice that makes you the devil, as if I thought this was serious, you know. It's the fact that you've profited from encouraging countless children to hate, mutilate and sterilize themselves. With your 1 million followers on YouTube and 260k on TikTok, you're one of the prime reasons why social media should be banned for children. You deserve nothing less than a life in shame after you have been prosecuted, fined and jailed. Where are people's heads at? Seriously, I'm sat here talking about my life, my experiences, calling out transphobia, and somehow I should go in jail for that. Really? But you know, like, just carry on fuming at the number of followers I have. Go on. Be angry. Tell yourself that I've had this awful influence. Lie to yourself. Continue doing it, because I'm not going to get prosecuted, fined and jailed for being a trans man who makes videos about my life and calling out discrimination. You know, carry on being mad and not caring about facts. Gender ideology isn't just a neo-religious cult. It is biotechnological warfare in drag, like a multi-headed hydra with claws in every corporate sector. Is that the Gucci logo? Not gonna lie, that is quite cool. I can actually see a lot of trans people adopting this as the legit trans flag. Gender ideology hydra. Yeah. I know it's meant to be hateful, and I know it's really horrible that people are saying and doing things like this, but I just can't help but find it really amusing because they've designed something pretty cool and they just sound absolutely conspiracy level, like somewhere else, different planet of views, not giving a shit about any facts or real world information in what they think about trans people. A biotechnological warfare in drag. Are you serious? Okay, and we're gonna end on the most recent thing, which is something I never thought I'd see happen, but Elon Musk roasted J.K. Rowling. So I don't even know what she said. You've asked me several questions on this thread and accused me of avoiding answering, so here goes. I believe a woman is a human being who belongs to the sex class that produces large gametes. It's irrelevant whether or not her gametes have ever been fertilized, whether or not blah 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 blah. I don't really care because she just disrespects trans people. Trans women are women, we know this. But Elon Musk replied going, while I heartily agree with your points regarding sex/gender, I mean, you know he's transphobic too, right? May I suggest also posting interesting and positive content on other matters? That's basically like saying,
look, babe, I'm transphobic too, but you should really get a life.
Imagine being roasted by Elon Musk like this. Imagine Elon Musk telling you to like find a hobby. Hilarious. Anyway, that's it. I've been filming for far too long. If I was tired before making this video, I'm tired now. Basically, transphobia has no right to exist. Seriously. I'm not saying transphobic people. I'm saying transphobia as a concept has no right to exist. It is discrimination. It is horrible. It's unproductive. It's not based in facts. It's not based in real world knowledge. And it's just discrimination and bigotry at the end of the day and nothing more. There is no need to be transphobic. But yeah, go leave your comments down below. I'm sure I'll be back again with more transphobes not being okay, because there are so many that are not okay and they're never okay, are they? Oh my god. But yes, as always, thank you so much for watching. Think about giving a thumbs up and subscribing if you want on to No Pressure, and as always, I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.
Trophy system online.
I'm so old. Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? There's so many words and phrases being thrown around on the internet and comment sections and other kinds of places in humor that I'm lost. I'm absolutely lost in my old age. Words like gooning, edging, canthal tilt. I don't know what the people use it in normal conversations as if this is normal nomenclature just for anybody. It seems it's odd. And when looking more into it to try to keep up with these goddamn youths, I found out that it's all kind of derivative of something called looks maxing. Maxing is a very, very popular trend right now on YouTube and TikTok and all these other places, and it's kind of embedded in male culture. Yeah, the females, they do looks maxing too. Who gives a shit, dude? We need to talk about the real fucking juggernauts of this. The real people who hurt and suffer more than anyone else. Me and the boys, aka the incel community. Hey, if you're an incel, stand up, be proud. This one's for us, guys. There's level of obviously irony and other kinds of humor in it, but it is a very real thing, and it's something that I am going to take into consideration moving forward with my own looks, because I'm a morbidly obese piece of shit. I even got my face evaluated by a Giga Chad, and this was the score. Not good. Looks maxing is the practice to maximize one's look, and most importantly, when you're a looks maxer, your goal is mogging, which means to be more physically attractive than someone else. It's very petty, and that's why I love it so much. Looks maxing is actually a pretty old trend from around 2015 that popped up on a forum called lookism.net. It was mostly associated with incels trying to blame all of their problems on not being attractive enough to get some pussy, so the idea of looks maxing was born, which is kind of interesting because I will say in a lot of incel communities, usually there's no kind of self-growth happening, which is the opposite of looks maxing. They're upset. I am upset. I am married and I'm upset I get no pussy. All right, dude? And nearly a decade later, looks maxing has now spread to TikTok and YouTube, and the toxicity of the culture has been growing absolutely rampant. Which, you know, some people say toxicity. I say the good word, because to mog is to live, is what I would say. If you're not mogging, what the fuck are you really doing? There's a prominent forum called looksmax.org where young, insecure people, like myself, will desperately try anything to increase their SMV, aka sexual market value. It's like Wolf on Wall Street. All over again, baby. There's a guy named Wheat Waffles who will rate your SMV for a very small price. And I think it's actually worth it, which I want to say, I paid the fucking price, and this is what he had to say. Thanks, Wheat Waffles. Then just got it, dude. Honestly, can I just be real for a second, Nick? And just like put the bullshit. We don't have to include this in, honestly. I'm just saying, just like that. I just want to talk about men because they just have it harder. Like, I don't know. I'm tired of like I go on these forums with women and they're like, I don't know that. Dude, I hate women. So let's take a look at some of the techniques to increase your SMV. And if you're a woman, get out of here. Get the hell out. Today's video is sponsored by Fume. If you have any unhealthy habits, maybe consider trying Fume. Once you form a bad habit, it's hard to break. And usually quitting cold turkey is the absolute worst thing someone can do. Let Fume fill the void in a natural, guilt-free way. You can still get your fix just with healthier options. Fume's innovative, award-winning device is a sleek, lightweight, and can help you kick your habit. Fume is completely natural and replace vapor with flavored air. Instead of harmful chemicals, users can enjoy Fume's refreshing flavors like crisp mint, sparkling grapefruit, orange vanilla, and raspberry lemon. Stopping is something we all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has served over 150,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com/PapaMeat or scan the QR code and use code PapaMeat to get 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. And Fume's base was just launched in January. It's a weighted stand to rest your fume on when not in use, with a magnet inside that keeps your fume attached. The fume device can be spun around on it, which is good for fidgeting. Let's try FUM.com and use code PAPAMEAT to save an additional 10% off your order today. Thanks, Fume, for sponsoring the video, and back to the video. Which first on our long list is soft maxing. These are lifestyle changes that include basic care to your hygiene and aesthetic presence, such as going to the gym, getting a haircut, and moisturizing. That's right, I said moisturizing. It's no longer considered gay. Back in my day, if I would have brought some lotion, or if I would have told, hey, I got some aloe vera, I'm gonna put it on my arms, people would say you're gay. And I think that actually drops my SMV. Correct, Nick? Thank you. It's basic hygiene and wearing clothes that fit you. No longer do you have tight. If you're a big guy like me, dude, you go buy clothes. I've been there, dude. Hey, I'm living it. When I had to take the step from 2X to 3X, sad day. Sad day. Now we're going to be talking about some techniques that will alter your physical appearance in some unusual ways. So please, come with me. Come with me. Come on. It's like a back alley deal. Oh, come on. Seriously. No one's looking. Come on. Starting off with the jaw and face, aka your moneymaker. The first category is improving the fucking jawline. You've probably seen people on the internet, you know, do the thing where they show off their Giga Chad chin and stuff like that. It's like basically saying, hey, are you in the club? Look at me, dude. See this? I'm working on it, dude. I'm not saying that my SMV is high. It's on the rise, but it's not high. So I'm still working on that. I have to lose it shouldn't be that bad, about 120 pounds. Mewing. You're probably thinking, Pokemon. Wrong. Looks maxing 101, dude. And it's named after its creator, Dr. Mike Mew. This is a facial reconstruction technique that involves placing your tongue on the roof of your mouth to change the shape of your jawline. Some of the benefits include this: realigning your teeth so you don't have no buck-ass teeth. Improve facial aesthetics so you get that chiseled Giga Chad jaw. And it stops you from becoming a mouth breather. If you're a mouth breather and you're a fucking uggo, back of the line, get the SMV up. You're not a Mog man yet. Mew immediately. I have sleep apnea, and that does not help my SMV. I want to see some before and afters, dude. 20 months mewing plus hard mewing. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. Beautiful man. SMV way up. You know, I would say that he was a pretty handsome guy to begin with, but that jawline now, unbelievable. Next up is gum chewing. The practice of gum chewing is to strengthen and sharpen one's jawline. Which you're probably like, is that mewing? Dude, no. Were you listening? Some people recommend chewing gum for 16 hours a day to get chiseled jaw. And they make very hard gum. You can buy extremely hard pieces of gum just for this exercise, just to get those fucking muscles right here nice and buff, dude. Mastic gums are considered to be the best, which is 8 to 11 times harder than the normal gum. Look at that. Looks like fucking, I don't know if I think I'll just stick to mewing maybe. But there are some drawbacks, which you can develop TMJ and grind down your teeth into baby teeth. When you're trying to become a god, there's always going to be some bumpy steps along the way. But the people who persevere and who don't end up getting baby teeth or TMJ, they're the champions. Next one up is gua sha, which I feel like I've seen people roll these on dogs' heads and stuff. Which gua sha is a traditional Chinese healing method in which a trained professional uses a smooth-edged tool to stroke your skin while they press on it. You ever been rolled around by a Chinese guy? Well, you can do it yourself, or I still like getting mine from the Chinese guy. And my SMV, like I said, it's on the rise. Where's your SMV? Your SMV pretty good? This may reduce inflammation, reducing chronic pain, but it's mostly used to get sharp jawlines once again, dude. You think there's just a couple tricks in the books? Of course not, dude. Whenever Da Vinci made David, did he just slap the stone around a couple times? No. You gotta roll around. You gotta treat it right until it becomes absolutely perfect. David, the statue, definitely was an augur. I can't speak for Da Vinci. Yes, Da Vinci was a good artist, but from what I saw in some of the pictures or paintings of him, oh boy, SMV was low. And I don't really know if he was a mogging man himself. Next up, we also have thumb pulling, which thumb pulling is a technique that involves inserting both thumbs in the mouth and pulling the palate apart against the back third of the palate. So going back. Oh, you pull your mouth open? The goal is to create more space in the mouth and stimulate maxilla bone growth, dude. Your teeth are essentially like a bird, right? You want to pull those bad boys out. And of course, there is belt pulling, which you bite down on a belt and then lift it up. You lift it up over your head. And, you know, there's some drawings of how to do this too. Let's just look at some of these. They're pretty good. This is haunting. First off, he put a lot of time in those eyes. That is fucking crazy. Dude, when we did the medieval torture device video, this is exactly what this is. Look at the fucking like the scribbles on there too. This is a madman. This is Da Vinci. This is what Da Vinci wanted to be. I thought that was his asshole for a second where he's bent over, but no. So that's him. And then you put it around your knees, and you also pull that way too. Oh, this is the artist before and after images. All right, here's before one. What's this guy? He's a good-looking guy. Yeah, he's got kind of a bit of a dud chin. Let's see afterwards though with the belt pulling. Is this the same man? This is the same guy? You know what? I think the old boy just should have grown his hair out. Because I think the long hair also accentuates. No, it was the belt pulling. I think it was a good deal, dude. I'll tell you a quick story about how I fucked my face up 5 years ago. I took a fucking belt, bit down on that shit, and started yanking it up from my face with my arms. It didn't feel very good, so I lifted up my legs and put the ends around my feet, started pulling hard as possible, and felt a pop. I looked in the mirror and my face appeared forward as fuck. I was ecstatic. I finally found how to ascend hard. Praise be to you, brother. A true mogger, no matter what he says through and through. The SMV is way up, and his belt chewing is only proof of that. I tried this for a week and then took a break. Within 2 fucking days, it all collapsed and reverted. Whoa, it was worse than before, and I literally looked like my face had shrunk. Don't pull your maxilla, just get fucking Expander or MSE. Wow.
I'm loaded.
Next up, we have carrot maxing, which is a practice of consuming extreme amounts of carrots and foods with beta-carotene in order to get that orange glow. It is recommended to eat around 7 large carrots a day, or about 7 pounds of carrots.
Like 10 years ago,
You actually, like, literally, you were eating tons of carrots to get a glow? It just makes you orange, though.
It's supposed to make you tan, but...
Well, why don't you just tan? Well, is it because of the damage that UV rays do? So this is a more holistic way of going about it? Okay, well, I can see the MOG aspect of that. Let's move on to the eyes. Which the eyes, windows of the soul, dude. Very, very important when you're thinking about doing looks maxing, all right? Have you ever heard of the Canthal tilt? Oh, wait. This is the angle of your eyes are oriented on your face, dude, which we have a thing here, which is positive, looking more assertive, more dominant, neutral. You look like, you know, not intimidating, but you could be passable. And of course, negative, you look sad. And that's going to take your SMV down just a couple points. Definitely. Okay? Is my Canthal tilt, is it positive? Editor, put like a line to see. Is it positive, Nick?
I was going to say it's either neutral or negative.
It's negative? Those with negative Canthal tilt, apparently me, are called prey eyes. These make you look weak and vulnerable, which I don't look weak and vulnerable, dude. I bet you there's been so many people who watch my videos and like, I could fuck him up. And you know what I have to say that too? I'd be like, stop. Outside of surgery, there's no way to change your Canthal tilt, and that doesn't mean people aren't trying. Here are some exercises that are paraded around. To help with your eyes, you can do squint maxing, which do 100 partial squints before bed and try to hold squints throughout the day to train your eyes to strengthen those muscles, which I'm going to start doing fucking tonight. I'm doing these. You can eye pull, which pulling the corner of your eyes to change the orientation of your Canthal tilt. Here's a video of that. I don't see how that would really work, but I'm going to see it anyways. Negative Canthal tilt. Here we go. I think it's good. I think I'm done.
Trophy system out.
We've done the jaw, the face, and now we've done eyes. But now it's time to move on to hard maxing, which going to more extremes and changing your appearance via cosmetic surgeries, limb lengthening surgeries, and steroids. Come on, boys. Make the tough decisions. You know, can you actually do it without help? Sometimes you need a fucking doctor's hand to help, you know what I mean? So spent 100K hard maxing to go from ugly to average. I spent most of it on multiple jaw and chin surgeries, had a very recessed chin, but a very wide jaw, and hypertrophied masseter. Jesus Christ. And hair transplants to bring my 6 head down to a 4.5 head. I also got 2 rhinoplasties and a full body liposuction. God damn, dude, this is Ken. We're talking about Ken right here. I always told myself I just want to be average. If I can get to average, it would all be worth it, and I won't have any more surgery then. Well, now I do believe I am average. I'm very happy about it. Thank God for modern medicine. But now I wish I were attractive. I spent so long thinking I'd be happy being average that I never expected to be somewhat dissatisfied when I reached my goal. But now I see how attractive girls are treated, and it just looks so much more fun. However, my body can't take any more surgery, nor can I tolerate it mentally, so average it is. Has anyone experienced the same thing after hard maxing? The man's MOG is so high, and it's a shame that he values his SMV so low. That's a fucking crazy. That's like a Greek tragedy. Teddy Roosevelt had a great quote. He said, "I have never in my life envied a human being who led an easy life. I envied a great many people who led difficult lives and led them well." That wasn't the quote I was thinking. It should be something like, "Envy is the thief of joy." I think also part of mogging is self-confidence in yourself and raising other boys up, dude. Making sure the men feel good around you, man. You know what I mean? I wish I could give this guy a hug. I'd buy this guy a drink. Some of the other ones for hard maxing, there is leg lengthening surgery, which is during a leg lengthening procedure, the bone is purposely broken. Surgeons fit a support device either on the outside of the leg or inside the bone that can be stretched 1 millimeter, 3 inches, or 0.03 inches every day. That's from Business Insider. What the fuck are they writing about over there at Business Insider, dude? Jesus. Another issue, if the leg becomes over-lengthened, the patient will struggle to walk and certainly cannot run. It is also costly, with the prices starting around $30,000 per leg. How fucked is that? Dude, don't give me a fucking, I'll just do one this time. Just fucking price it like it's both your legs. You're not gonna just do one, dude. Which this guy went from 5'11" to 6'6"? Oh, dude. That is crazy. Kind of reminds me of this episode of Tales from the Crypt where this rich old man keeps buying body parts from this buff guy because he wants to impress this bitch. This woman wasn't very... Was that Mog of me? Is calling a woman a bitch, is that Mog? 5'3" to 5'9". Yeah, the 5'3" to 5'9". Looks pretty natural. I'm just thinking about my legs. Like, I wonder how bad that hurts. I would actually, you know what I'm going to say? Actually, yeah, if you feel insecure about yourself, get a very expensive procedures done. You'll feel great. Bone smashing, which this one's free, but if you're a professional maybe, but I don't know about this one. Which bone smashing is the practice of hitting yourself in the face with hammers, bottles, massagers, and other blunt objects in the pursuit of beauty. This is based on Wolff's Law. It states that bones in healthy animals will adapt to the loads placed on them. An example of this is if a bone is loaded more, it will remodel itself over time to become stronger in that way. So yes, you can mew and stuff. You can also take a hammer and beat your face until it forms something that you're liking. Facial fractures can result in a whole array of issues, from damage to the brain, detachment of eyeballs from muscles and eyelid structures, collapse of nasal airways or the cheekbones, injuries to the ear canals and hearing, and more. That's my boy Dr. Is this a woman? If this is a woman, if we're quoting a fucking woman in this Mog video, I'm going to be very upset. I'm just going to, you know what? It's from a doctor. It's from a doctor. I'll put it on the screen, but I'm not going to say the name. Next up after that, we have starve maxing. I need to take a fucking page out of this book, dude. Good lord. This is essentially starving yourself, and this is nothing new, you know, but the new term and looks maxing take over the internet. It is weirdly being praised where it normally would not. Many men in comments congratulate the people starving themselves and encourage them to go on. You gotta raise those boys up. You gotta make sure and be like, hey, no more food. You're looking great, man. Starve maxing to the most. Especially if you couple that with some mewing and some carrot maxing, I think you're on your way to doing something pretty good. Next up is jelking, ancient techniques to stretch the penis to help add size and girth, which I will be copying and saving this one to my phone. So how do you jelk? Put your index finger or thumb in an O shape, like okay, hand signal. Place the O shape gesture at the base of your banana. Make the O smaller and smaller until you put mild pressure on your penile shaft. Slowly move your finger and thumb toward the head of your penile unit until you reach the tip. Reduce the pressure if this feels painful. Boy, we're not trying to torture ourselves here, right? We're just trying to get bigger members, which in increase will bring us bigger confidence, all right? Repeat this once per day for about 20 minutes. That is a full workout, dude. They give the same instructions for a Bowflex, all right? That's how serious you have to take this. Improper techniques can cause damage to soft tissue. So you can develop Peyronie's disease. That's a great name for a penile disease, dude, which is scar tissue that can build up and create severe curvature on the member. Dude, I don't like that. I thought they called that a shooting rainbow. I thought people liked that. Some people have also experienced erectile dysfunction. Next up is probably the one I've seen most commonly, and people have probably also seen most commonly, is edging and, of course, gooning. Edging is masturbating and stopping yourself before orgasm, and then beginning again, keeping yourself close to climax, but never getting there. Gooning is a form of masturbation that involves edging for a long period of time, resulting in hypnotic trance-like states, which masturbation is so intense that it becomes a state of meditation that consumes you and provides endless pleasure. You either pair it with overstimming, which is as you possibly can, or edging. There is not one way to goon. They all just have one goal: be consumed by masturbation bliss. Here's a couple comments I thought were applicable. Back in November, I was doing the No Nut November challenge, but I edged for every single day of the month. On December 1st, I started to masturbate and edged like 6 more times before I almost passed out from the intensity of that orgasm. So much, I had to take a bath and look for a towel to clean everything up. No joke. Like 4 ounces. And of course, the first comment underneath it is just beautiful. Which, boys, that's what we need to do. We need to boost our boys up. That's an incredible feat. An entire month of edging. Wow. If it was me, I would. Well, Nick, here's the thing. Would you say, are you an edger or are you a gooner? You said that with a lot of, like, that was a very non-mog way of saying that. You can't just whisper edger, dude. Say it loud and proud, dude. You're goddamn right. Next up, we have munting. Munting is a variation of necrophilia involving 2 living people and 1 dead person. It can be male or female. It's a corpse. All right, it's a dead corpse. And if you see someone who munts, you need to stay clear of that guy. But if you do, this is how to munt if that's a road that you want to go down, which is find and dig up a semi-decomposed corpse. One person then goes down on said corpse while the other one jumps on the dead person's stomach, causing the juices to be forced out of all orifice. These are drank by the person orally connected to the corpses. I want to throw up a little bit. And I want to say that this has nothing to do with looks maxing. Like I said, it's just a part of the nomenclature of what we're talking about. And there is a munting subreddit, but you have to literally request access and be granted in to see what's happening. So if anybody has that Pandora's box key, I guess maybe share it with the world, because I'm kind of curious, if I'm being honest. Which, lastly, we have rope maxing, which, you know, if you do all these changes, you put your heart and soul into it, and you still can't get laid, you resort to ropes maxing, which is basically unaliving yourself. If you're a true mogger and you're trying to get your SMV up, then you will goon yourself into enlightenment, and you will know that your brothers are around you, belt chewing, mewing, hard mewing, carrot maxing, leg lengthening, doing everything they can to boost themselves up, but then also boost their boys up. And here's the thing, guys, because like I said, there's no women in here, so we can talk candidly. It's important to have confidence within yourself. I myself am a mogger. I goon from time to time. Hell, I'll even edge if I feel like it. But one thing that's important is boosting up your fellow man. As a man, it's a nice club of people where it's easy to feel down on yourself. Something that women can't understand, all right? So I would say, if you see a man in the street, see if he mews. Compliment a jawline. Offer helpful suggestions, right? Most importantly, worry about your own SMV and try to boost all the other SMVs around you. Because it's not a competition, boys. It's a lifestyle. Goodbye. What are you going to tell me that you did? Oh, I'm comfortable in my own skin. Look how weak.
So essentially, we're just screwed. Is where I land on it, I guess.
I don't understand why these guys think America is like up. It's doing everything you wanted it to do. The more do you want? All right, let's hear what the Daily Wire fart sniffers had to say.
Here it is. This is it. And here these guys go.
New sort of, I shouldn't say new, it's been sort of fermenting for the last handful of years, but I think it's really gaining prominence now, both in the very intellectual part of the American right, but also in the very fringe parts of the American right. And the fact
I'm going to do the Tim Pool clip after this.
That what I'm about to bring up is happening in both of those places.
I gotta pee.
People who we all in this room read, people with whom we are friendly, people with whom we admire are participating in this conversation. Also, the complete whack jobs, the people who I don't think should have any voice in our movement. I think that they're malevolent forces are also circling the same idea. That makes the idea, I think, something that we should talk about, and that's this idea that the American experiment is over. This idea that none of our institutions that have taken us through the last 2+ centuries on this continent exist anymore, that we can't find any solution to our cultural and political problems through the political system, and that perhaps it's time to look to older systems, strongman, monarchy, even dictator. I mean, when you have
all right, pause. I just want
major
to you know, it's easy to get distracted at how all of these
sucking on that phallic object.
Well, these like tiny little men are you know, playing make believe like they're big boys, and it's possible to get distracted from what Jeremy Boring is saying, but he is saying our institution seems to be failing, that there's problems here, and you could stop that conversation there, and we could have had that conversation. The real question becomes, okay, if we accept that premise, and you know, there's some reasons to accept that premise on some level, what is the failure about? Like, what is it, and how do you address it? It would be more democracy, right? Like when we talk about when we talk about concentrate power even more.
Aristocracy, baby, bring it back.
And then exist anymore, that we can't find any solution to our cultural and political problems through the political system, and that perhaps it's time to look to older systems, strongman, monarchy, even dictator. I mean, when you have major voices in the sort of conservative intelligentsia,
name them,
openly discussing the idea of whether a dictator will be required to save this country, or an emperor would be required to save this country, or a king would be required to save this country, I think that that's something that merits actual conversation.
Okay, so let's be clear here. It's the Claremont Institute, all those guys at the Claremont Institute, let's
actual conversation. So I thought, rather than talk,
they're talking about like it merits a real discussion whether or not we should have a dictator. Is Fortnite overrated? Guys grew up and now they're like, hey, this election stuff, this democracy stuff's kind of whack. We should just have a god king. Great.
Talking about the latest stupid thing Joe Biden said, or, you know, the most salacious details from the Trump trial, although they are fun to talk about. Let's talk about something that we can only talk about when we're together. Let's get to the deep stuff.
So, Michael, you're a monarchist.
Yeah, well, they tie in. He pins it on the Catholic, that we're all crypto-monarchists. We all think Trump is Caesar.
I didn't say crypto.
Yeah. And by the way, we don't think that Donald Trump ought to be Caesar. We think that Baron Trump ought to be Caesar. Okay, those are very different things.
Ew.
Good stuff. The problem is this. I am not calling for the overthrow of the American regime. The problem is that the American regime has been overthrown.
Pause it just real quickly.
And
These
it
are
has
like
been
failed Hollywood people sitting around like they're at the Constitutional Congress.
It's unbelievable. It really is sort of astonishing.
The overthrow of the American regime. The problem is that the American regime has been overthrown. And it has been overthrown by the 17th Amendment, which fundamentally orders the relationship of the states to the federal government. It's been overthrown by Congress giving away all of its power to the executive agencies. It's been overthrown by any number of things that have taken place, not over the last 10 years.
Pause it really briefly. You only need to take it off the screen. But when he talks about the 17th Amendment there, that is literally an anti-democracy argument, because that allowed for, if I'm not mistaken, the democratic election of senators, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is him saying
too much democracy
the Senate is too democratic. The filibuster Senate is too democratic for Michael Knowles.
Yeah.
Show this to your armed, friendly, libertarian neighbor. Brother, what are you talking about? If they're armed and libertarian, they probably agree with Michael Knowles. You think libertarians don't become monarchists like that? What are we talking about?
Over the past 150 and 200 years. And even that is not necessarily to be lamented. It just happens. You can't rewind.
I like that they start off the conversation by talking about like a bunch of freaks in right-wing discourse that muddy the waters and like ruin the cause or whatever. And they're literally the freaks. Like they themselves are like, oh, those other guys, like, ew, gross, QAnon. It's like, bro, you're sitting in the room with a bunch of people that are not even
recording. Truth is, your whole life is a lie.
You wanted peace, so we hit the war. And now it rages on in the shadows.
Behind closed doors, where we hide the world's secrets.
While we build your trust, the world falls apart around you. If you weren't so distracted, you'd realize
Nothing is what it seems. But if it's truth you seek, look in the dark.
confirmed. Kill them and secure their tags.
Enemy in the area.
They tagged me! Throwing Semtex! Changing mag! We have taken the lead. We've lost the lead. Reloading! We've secured the lead. Friendly UAV online. The enemy's taking the lead. Check the fire! Friendly UAV on station. Hostile UAV in the area. We have taken the lead.
Shoot me again. Good as new.
Enemy UAV active. Confirmed. I'm loading. Large one. Loading! Oh, too close. Kill confirmed. Hostile SAE near your position. Standing by. Switching legs. Hostile launching cruise missile. Copy that. UAV is on station. UAV is exiting the AO. I'm loading. The enemy is gaining ground. Push them back. Requesting recon flyover. Copy. UAV. Fire!
I'm with you.
Hostile cruise missile incoming. Contact!
Taking effective fire. Got one. Endure. Tamo. Semtex out.
Hostile SAE incoming. Stun grenade out.
Got that one.
Confirm that one. Kill confirmed.
Throwing a stun grenade!
Drop them.
Confirm that one.
Enemy close.
UAV standing by.
Contact. Requesting recon flyover.
We're getting hit hard.
Get fired!
For the enemy.
Don't shoot at me, bestie!
I'm taking fire.
Be advised, UAV back secure. Kill confirmed.
Enemy. Drop them.
Confirmed.
Loading.
Mission failed. Return to base. target area. Target area located. Secure the hard point.
Switching back. Taking effective fire. Changing mag.
Enemies inside the perimeter.
Don't touch my team.
Confirming next hard point. Stand by. Target area updated. Move to the hard point. We've lost the lead.
Check your fire!
Trophy system.
Hard point compromised.
Loading. Expect me. Changing mag. Throw your stun grenade.
UAV ready to deploy.
Requesting recon flyover.
Orbiting the area. Hard point relocated.
Too close. It'll take more than that.
Hard point relocated. Be advised, UAV is exiting the AO.
Enemy here. Fire.
Confirming next hard point. Stand by.
Contact.
Target area updated. Move to the hard point. Hostile Mosquito is online.
Grenade.
Hard point compromised. Hostile in the area. Hard point relocating. Stand by. Enemies.
Next time. I'm loading.
Hard point relocated. Secure the target area. Hard point compromised. Secure the area. Complete. Enemies. Hard point. Secure the area.
You're shooting friendlies.
Hardpoint. Stand by. Friendly UAV online.
Reloading!
Got your six.
Target area updated. Move to the hardpoint. Hardpoint compromised.
They tagged me!
Area.
On your six.
Enemy UAV active. Friendly UAV on station. Hardpoint relocating. Stand by. Hardpoint relocated. Secure the target.
Switching
area.
mags! That one's on ice.
Friendly cruise missile approaching target. The enemy is in disarray. Press the advance. Enemies inside the perimeter.
Got your six.
Trophy system out!
Friendly UAV online. Confirming next hardpoint. Stand by. Enemies inside the perimeter.
Watch your fire!
Move to the hardpoint
Reloading!
compromised. Secure the area. Friendly UAV on station.
Stun incoming! Check fire! You're shooting friendlies! Trophy system out!
Enemies inside the perimeter. Hardpoint relocated. Stand by.
Watch your fire!
Hardpoint relocated. Secure the hardpoint compromised. Secure the area.
Semtex out! Stun grenade!
Enemies inside the perimeter.
Throwing Semtex!
Got your six.
Taking effective fire!
Charlie. Charlie secure. We've secured the lead.
Raptor!
We're taking Alpha. Securing a
Reloading!
Bravo. Enemies taking Bravo. Objective Bravo is compromised. Get it back. We're losing Charlie.
Got one!
Securing objective Alpha. We control Alpha. The enemy took Charlie. We're losing Alpha.
Enemy spotted.
Enemies taking Alpha.
Got one.
The enemy has captured your objective. Get them secure. Hostile care package incoming.
Trophy system out!
We're losing Alpha. We're taking Bravo. The enemy holds all objectives. We control Bravo. We're taking Alpha.
Loading! Attack me!
Securing objective Charlie. We're taking Charlie.
Contact!
Securing Bravo.
Throwing
Visual
Semtex!
target.
They tagged me! Stay in the fight! Changing mag!
Hostile bomb drone is active. Securing
Stun
objective
grenade!
Alpha. Securing Charlie.
Taking effective fire!
Hold all objectives. Do not lose control. Objective Charlie is compromised. Get it back. Objective Bravo is compromised. Get it back.
Take fire!
Securing objective Charlie. Securing objective Bravo. Secure. We're taking Charlie. Enemies securing Bravo. Enemies taking Bravo. Enemies taking Alpha.
Semtex out!
Bravo is compromised. We're taking Bravo.
Semtex is coming!
Hostiles deployed at Quito. Securing objective Bravo. Hostile counter UAV overhead. We're taking Bravo. We control Bravo. We're taking Alpha.
I'm taking fire!
Enemies securing Bravo. All objectives are under our control. You come nothing.
Contact!
Enemies taking Bravo. Objective Alpha is compromised. Friendly UAV online. We have taken the lead. We're losing Charlie. Enemies securing Bravo. Enemy
Trophy system up! Get fire!
Securing objective Alpha. Alpha secure. We're taking Bravo. Objective Bravo secure. Enemy securing Bravo. Objective Alpha is compromised. Get it back. Securing objective Charlie. Enemy is taking Bravo. We're taking Alpha. The enemy holds all objectives. Hostile Mosquito is online. Friendly SAE on the way. We control Alpha.
Throw your son! Drop!
Securing objective Bravo.
Loading!
We're taking Bravo. We control Bravo.
Your student friendly!
Enemy securing Bravo.
Requesting recon flyover!
Copy. UAV orbiting the AO. Recon is online. Taking Bravo.
Visual on the
We've secured 2 objectives. Enemy securing Bravo.
Trophy system out!
UAV. Be advised. UAV is exiting the AO. Enemy is taking Bravo.
Rolling sensei!
We're losing Alpha. Objective Alpha is compromised. Get it back. We're taking Charlie. Hostile care package deployed.
You lose. Changing mag!
Objective Alpha. Objective Charlie secure. We hold all objectives. Do not. Enemy is taking Bravo. Enemy is taking UAV ready to deploy. Enemy is securing Charlie. Objective Alpha is compromised. Get it back.
Contact! Requesting recon
We're
flyover!
losing Charlie. Enemy is securing Bravo. We've secured the lead. Enemy is securing Charlie. Enemy took Charlie. Charlie. Enemy is controlling all objectives. The Charlie secure. Hostile securing Mosquito. We're losing Charlie.
I'm with you.
Securing objective Bravo. The enemy holds all objectives. Do not fail here. Take them back. Objective Bravo secure. Bravo. Securing objective Alpha. Enemies securing Bravo.
Watch your
Enemies
fire!
in control of all objectives. Alpha secure.
You'll have to do stun grenade out! I see it!
We're taking Bravo.
Reloading!
The enemy holds 2 objectives. Enemy bomb drone in the area. Securing objective Bravo.
Grenade!
Enemy is taking Charlie. Enemies taking Bravo. Mission compromised. We've failed. Hardpoint. Secure the target area. Target area located. Secure the hardpoint.
Effective fire! I'm reloading. Enemy down! Reloading. Don't shoot me, get up.
Hardpoint compromised. Secure the area. Perimeter. Hardpoint compromised. Secure the area.
Incoming!
Changing mags. Start incoming!
Confirming next hard.
Here we go!
Stand by.
Semtex incoming!
Area updated. Move to the hard point. Enemies inside the perimeter. Friendly mortar strike on the way.
Trophy system out!
Hardpoint compromised. Secure the area. Hardpoint reload. Inside the perimeter.
Enemy down! On your stick!
Hardpoint relocated. Hardpoint compromised. Secure the area. Enemies inside the perimeter. Enemy close one. Check your bloody fire. Target area updated. Move to the hard point. Hard point compromised. Secure the area. Groups in contact! Attack me! Who's coming? Hard point compromised. Secure the area. Hard point relocated. Threats here. Secure the area. Inside the perimeter. Hand on the swivel. It's been hit. Target dismissed. You're halfway to mission complete. Finish it. Hard point compromised. Secure the area. Next hard point. Stand by. The perimeter. Hard point compromised. Secure the area. Score cell. Requested recon flyover. Copy that. Changing flags. Enemies inside the perimeter. Hard point compromised. Secure the enemies inside the perimeter. Friendly mosquito deployed.
UAV is bingo fuel. RTB at the time.
Hard point compromised. Secure the area. Hard point compromised. Secure the area. Enemies inside the hard point compromised. Secure the area. Got your back, mate. Enemies inside the perimeter. Watch your fire. Hard point compromised. Secure the area. Confirming next hard point. Stand by. Target area updated. Move to the hard point. Hostile UAV in the area. Changing mags. Copy. Good work. Thanks.
Domination. You can't liberate the whole world, but the capture zones are a good start. Tres, dos, uno. Take the zones! Topple the enemy! Viva la revolución! Amigos capturing Zone C!
Grenades
Taking
away!
Zone B!
Changing mag.
Capture zone contested. We're taking Zone A. Capture zone is ours now.
Swapping mags. Get here. Do it.
Zone's ours now. Okay, that's enough lives for your cause. Now you take some.
Barrier up. Heal us. Strike deployed. Swapping mags.
Enemy dead. The enemy is attacking Zone B.
Throwing grenade. Even.
You're taking Zone B. They're going after Zone C. Capture zone contested. Capture zone is ours now. Drop them. The enemy is attacking Zone B. They're going after Zone C. They're taking Zone B. Zone contested. Amigos taking B. Our guerrillas are on A. C is in trouble. Zone compromised. moving on B! Good kill.
Like spider bots! Reloading!
Swapping mag.
Amigos taking B! Zone contested. New weapon.
Shield out.
The zone is ours now.
Reloading. Cover me.
Zone contested. They're taking B!
Throwing grenade.
Amigos taking B! Oh, Ultra is jump! Zone contested. Zone's ours now.
Box mine ready to rock.
Activated sonar goggles. Wish we had that back when I was KGB.
Critical.
Zone contested.
Setting a box mine.
Grabbing me! You won. You're welcome. domination. Rule number 6. There's always another war, another cantina, another capture zone. 3, 2, 1. Take the zones. Defend them to the end. Amigos capturing Zone C. Capture zone is ours now.
Trembling enemy tech.
Frag out!
Going dark. Capture zone contested. We're taking Zone B.
Changing mags.
We're taking Zone A. Ah! Took him out! Capture zone contested. Zone's ours now.
Swapping max!
The enemy is attacking Zone B.
Grenade out! That's revenge. The enemy is attacking Zone B. They're going after Zone C! Capture zone contested. Amigos capturing Zone C! Capture zone is ours now. I'm in bad shape!
We're taking Zone B. Zone compromised.
Barriers deployed. But not out yet.
They're taking B! Zone compromised. not toppling a fascist regime. We are liberating A. Capture zone is ours now. The enemy is on A. Zone contest. Commandeer the capture zones. Keep the enemy out. Okay, that's enough lives for your cause. Now you take some.
Swapping mags! Cover me! Opening a can of healer!
They're moving on B. Zone contest.
New mag! Condition!
Zone's ours now.
Deploying EMP! We have the wind at our backs.
Oh, Ultra's ready.
Steady and spike to the end!
Drop them. Odds are you're gonna win this. Good thing I already placed my bet. They're moving on B. City's in trouble. Zone compromised.
Reloading! Reloading!
Losing B. Good win. The people will remember that one. Domination. You can't liberate the whole world, but the capture zones are a good start. 3, 2, 1. Take the zones! Topple the enemy! Viva la revolución! Amigos capturing Zone C!
Frag out!
We're taking Zone B. Capture zone is ours now.
Loading ammo. Need a dock here! Go get some hugs!
Capture zone contested. Zone's ours now. The enemy is attacking Zone B. Capture zone contested.
Hope you like
Okay, that's enough lives for your cause. Now you take some. Capture zone contested. We're taking Zone A. The enemy is attacking Zone B. They're going after Zone C.
I employ first aid.
More attack. They're taking Zone B. Capture zone is ours now. Capture zone contested. Loadout changed. We're taking Zone A. They're going after Zone C. We're taking Zone B. The enemy is taking Zone A. Amigos taking B. Zone A is under attack. Zone compromised. They're moving on B. Cuidado, an enemy spy is skulking around with their goggles on. Our side's winning! Don't let up! Zone contested! Allies are beat! Commandeer the capture zones! Keep the enemy out! Zone's ours now! They're moving on me!
Shield up!
Capture zone is ours now! We're claiming A. Zone B is in danger!